Rounding to significant figures. We may be asked to round numbers to significant figures as well as decimal places. Significant figures are counted from the start of the number. Zeros are not usually considered as significant unless they fall under one of these categories. They are significant if they are in between other digits. So in the number 30,251, because this 0 is in between the 3 and the 2, it would be classed as significant. They're also classed as significant if they're at the end of a decimal number. So in this case, this 0 is classed as being significant. However, these two would not, because the number doesn't start until we have the 2. In some cases, when we round values, for example, if we were to round 29.8 to two significant figures, the number would naturally round to 30. Usually, the 0 at the end would not be considered as significant, but because we need it to be, we need two significant figures, it can be classed as a significant digit. So let's look at some other examples. So seeing how many significant figures these have. So 235, we start counting at the beginning. 1, 2, 3. So this has 3 significant figures. This one doesn't start counting until the 4. So it just has 1 significant figure. This 1.05, 1, 2, 3. 305,000, 1, 2, 3. This has 3 significant figures. These zeros at the end are what we call placeholders. In the final example, as I said before, because the zeros have been put in after the decimal point, they are classed as significant. So this would have 1, 2, 3, 4 significant figures. The rounding rules are the same as for decimal places. So I recommend that you underline the digit that may need to change. You then look to the digit immediately to the right of it. And if it's a 5 or more, you add 1 to the digit. And if it's a 0, 1, 2, 3 or 4, you leave it alone and drop all other digits. Please note you're just interested in the one immediately to the right of the place that you're looking at rounding. So if we were asked to round 2.518 to two significant figures, I'd start counting 1, 2, and I would underline the 5. I then look immediately to the right. It's a 1. Because it's a 1, I don't do anything with the 5. My answer will be 2.5. Note the 1 and the 8 have just dropped off. It's important that you don't replace those 1 and 8 with zeros. If I were to round the same number, this time to 3 significant figures, again you start counting 1, 2, and we underline the 3 this time because we want 3 significant figures. We look to the number immediately after it. It's an 8. The 8 therefore changes it to be 2.52. Next one. 2 significant figures, 1, 2. Look to the digit immediately to the right. Again, we're not interested in the other digits, just the 7. The 7 changes the 4 to be a 5, so this would be 95. Now to 3 significant figures. 1, 2, 3. We look to the immediately right. It's a 9. Again, we add 1 to the 7 because it's more than 5. Rounding the next one to 4 significant figures. 1, 2, 3, 4. Immediately to the right is a 9. Here, if we were to add 1 to the 9, it would become logically 10. In this case, as with the decimal places, we're actually having to increase the digit before. So in this case, the value would be 94.80. Note we need to put the 0 in because we need to have 4 significant figures, and we do have with the extra 0. The final 2 examples, 2 significant figures. We don't start counting until the 8 and then the 2. Circle the 6. The 6 is more than 5, so this becomes 0.0083. If I were to now round that to 3 significant figures, 1, 2, 3, it's a 9, so it would become 0.00827. In some cases, you may need to add zeros as placeholders. These keep the value of the number the same as it was to start with. So, for example, if we were to round this number to 3 significant figures, we count 1, 2, 3. We look to the number immediately to the right. We see it's a 7, so this would become 269. Now, looking at the value of these, the top number is 268,723. We've rounded that to be 269 as it currently stands. Those numbers are not similar. So what we have to do is add 3 zeros to make sure that the 2 and the 6 and the 9 are in appropriate place columns. So, these examples. One, 2. Look to the right. It's a 1, so it would become 3, 4. We need to make sure we have the same number of digits, so we would need 2 zeros as placeholders for this example. To 1 significant figure. 1. Look to the right. It's only a 4, so this would be 3. This time we need 3 placeholders. Note the numbers we have always have the same number of digits in total as the original one. To 2 significant figures, 1, 2, the 6 changes the 3 to become 24. We now need 3 zeros as placeholders. To 3 significant figures, 1, 2, 3, it's only a 2, so it's 2, 3, 6, 0, 0. 1, 2 stays as 43. This time we need 4 zeros. And my final example, 1, 2, 3, 4. Look to the right. It's an 8, so it becomes 4, 3, 2, 1, and then we need 2 zeros as placeholders.